Many thanks for staying with us on Report Desk Africa. Now, without wasting much time, let's go to our next story. In a move to maintain standard quality and integrity of the Nigerian passport, the Nigerian government has approved an increment of passport fees effective from the 1st of September 2024. Now, the Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, disclosed this via a press statement on their social media platforms. However, reactions have come in from Nigerians showing their displeasure with the updated fee. So for those who are not conversant with this news, it means that the passport of, I think, 32 pages that you would normally pay about 30,000 naira for, you would now have to pay 50,000 naira. And the one for, I think, is this 60 pages, you would have to pay 100,000 naira. Now, these are some reactions that we have on the screen. And this person says, aside the air we breathe, there's nothing that is not very expensive in Nigeria under Tinubu.
I agree.
He just raised the cost of international passports. Asiwaju is feeding fat on our pains and misery. But in 2027, people will vote for him again because of 2,000 naira. And let's also not forget that this is coming amidst the new purchase, or I won't say purchase, like the new launch of a presidential jet that has gotten people riling with anger. So you can see the comments on the screen very quickly. Before we invite our guests, I want to ask Shewa, what do you think of, what do you make of this?
To me, it's very ridiculous. And the only way I can say this is because they said that they are not, I mean, this new policy does not affect Nigerians outside the country, just Nigerians living in Nigeria. It's just a means to make japa expensive. I mean, it's as simple as that, because it is when you're here and then you see that the means to leave the country becomes more and more expensive, you become discouraged and say, you know, let me just manage the few naira note that I have, and then we can maybe see foreseeable future and see if things can work, because I do not know how to explain this, because you say that they are trying to improve the quality and integrity of the passport. We are still ranked number 5 in the countries with the weakest passport in Africa. I think we have a tie with, is this Somalia? Oh, I think Somalia is ranked the first, but we are on number 5. It still doesn't make sense, because among these listed countries, Nigeria is still one with the richest economy. So tell me how increasing the price of the passports for Nigerians living in Nigeria and excluding those in the diaspora would increase are you going to increase the number of the visa-free countries? No, I don't think so. If they're saying that it's because of the inflation, who caused the inflation? It's not me. So why do I have to bear more brunt? Like that tweet said, he said, well, the person with a minimum wage cannot even afford to go to Cotonou. And that's how ridiculous it is, because we still need this passport to go to countries like Cotonou. We still have problems with moving within African countries. That's a discussion for another day. But why limiting the policies to just Nigerians living in Nigeria? It looks like a deliberate action.
Of course it is.
I don't understand.
I mean, so first off, I think recently we were saying things about how other countries have disrespected Nigerians so much so that people are now calling for the federal government to make maybe entry a little more difficult. You know, saying things like request for visas from countries, or make entrance, you know, just make it a little more cumbersome so that people would respect the country. But now the reverse is the case, because you're making it more difficult for people to go out. And I completely buy your idea, because if you're asking people to pay so much just to go out, and let's not forget that the foreign direct investment that we're clamoring for, it's not only the government that can make it happen.
Yes.
An individual can make it happen. So are you saying that if someone upcoming, let's say a filmmaker, for example, who is upcoming and cannot afford to make it and was invited to a film festival, can't make it? It's just really ridiculous. But that aside, we're now joined by Omeza Ajayi, who is a journalist, and he's currently joining us from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, Omeza, before we invited you into the discussion, I and Blessings were just, you know, having our own personal feel about this new policy. But we're just going to ask you, because you're a journalist like us, how do you feel when you woke up in the morning and then you read the headline? Because I'm done being shocked as it concerns Nigerian headlines, because it's just about, if you do not see the shock on the streets, on the roads, you're going to see it in the news. How does it feel for you seeing the increment in the price of passports, of all the things that we are facing at the moment? Because I have my own personal pain as it concerns this.
Okay, good evening. Well, I had the misfortune of having to even break that story, because I reported it for Vanguard, and I got that statement it was late, but I guess I was the first to get it, because it was sent to me directly, and I had the misfortune of having to, break that news to Nigerians, to my family, to several people. For me, it's like what the Americans we call a catch-22 situation. You know, is it necessary to have it increased? Yes. But is it expedient to increase it? No. For several years, I'm saying this, for several years, there has been no increment in the cost of Nigerian passports. There's been no increment. If despite the fluctuation in the foreign
Omeza Ajayi, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay, while we wait for him, I'm definitely going to piggyback on something he said, and I really want to understand from his point of view. I mean, he probably have been following this story for a while, but I really want to understand why that statement it is necessary to increase, because most times Ajayi, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So
yes.
Apologies for that. I think it was a technical challenge. Now, I wanted to ask, you said something
Yes.
about the necessity in increasing the price. And most Nigerians are honestly very tired of hearing this, because when it comes to, I'm sorry I'm referring to this a lot, but looking at the presidential jet, for example, that was just purchased, one of the major excuses was, yes, the security of the president was at risk. Something happened in Saudi Arabia, and then they had to make sure that the president's life is secure. And then one of the excuses that they gave was it hadn't been changed in 19 years. But we know that is not, I mean, the Air Force One, for example, has not been changed in over 30 years, and it's been maintained, and people have been using it. I mean, presidents have been using it over and over again. So when we hear things like, oh, the price has not been increased for years, how does that exactly necessitate the increase in quality? How does the increase in price become tantamount to the increase in quality? Making it a scarce commodity, to me, does not equate making it a quality product or quality passport.
Okay. Oh, you wanted to say something?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm just adding to the question. Like they said, quality as well as integrity. So, how does the increment in price equate to? I mean, have any direct impact on the integrity of Nigerian passport?
Like I have said, I made two points. I said it is necessary, but it is not expedient, meaning the timing is very wrong. If you want to look at the economics of passport production, the issues with our forex, the declining value of the naira, and then you marry this with the fact that we don't actually produce the whole. There are stages of passport production. We don't produce the entire passport in the country. So when you look at the fluctuations with regards to the foreign exchange, you will know that okay, it was just a matter of time that there was going to be an increase, but the timing, like I said, is what is wrong. Nigeria, if you look at the immigration statement, Nigerians in diaspora are excluded from this because they are currently paying higher, so to speak. For instance, the 64-page passport with 10-year validity, you have Nigerians in diaspora paying up to about $140 to get that. And we have been getting that for 70,000 naira here in the country. Now, convert $140 to naira. You know, it's a far cry from what we've been paying for the passport here in Nigeria. And of course, that is why they are excluded from this current pricing template, because they are already paying far above what we've been paying in the country. So like I said, it is the timing that is wrong. But
Omeza, are you there? Okay. I mean, we're definitely going to wait for it, because I'm really interested in, and I do not think that he has successfully convinced me that it is necessary to, increase it. Yes, he mentioned the necessity and then the timing, but I would really love to hear why it is necessary. But I mean, what he also said about timing is 100% accurate. You cannot bombard. And that's why I was having a conversation with someone earlier that I have a problem with this Freedom of Information Act, because apparently there is an act that mandates the federal government, and not even federal government alone, I think lawmakers and anybody that is in power, to reveal what is being done per time. Omeza, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So you were saying something, but I would really like for you to talk again about the necessity of the increment.
No, like I was saying, I said it was just a matter of time. Personally, maybe because I'm a journalist, I envisage this increase. You know, in fact, since 2 years ago, when the dollar, naira, is it 2 years ago? Since May last year, when naira embarked on a free fall against the dollar, I foresaw this, that there was going to be an increment in the price and the cost of obtaining the Nigerian passport. The only thing the government, the only thing we'll have said is that, okay, probably the government should have looked for a way to ensure local production, 100% local production of this passport, because that's the only way out. That's the only way for us to have escaped this hike in the cost of obtaining the passport. But since the government did not embark or did not encourage local production of this passport, it was just a matter of time that we're going to have this hike. And that is what has just happened. That is just what happened last night. So if you ask me to advise the government, is to encourage local production. And if you are going to do this hike, take the implementation date from September 1st. As of the time the statement was issued last night, it's just 10 days away from September 1. So take the implementation date, take it to maybe January 1 next year, within which time maybe you'll have even be able to kickstart the process of encouraging the local production, the complete local production of the Nigerian passport.
I'm just going to divert a little from, because I tried to note something that you said, that it was important for the government to do some quite certain things, like the presidential jet. They said, it was due to have been changed a long time ago, and they're doing it now, and a host of other things. But we also have the refinery. It looks as though the government's priority is different, only when it concerns them, only when it concerns increasing the revenue, to which we still argue where this tax revenue is going. What projects are they starting, or creating with these revenues? We can also argue that where refineries have been redundant for many years. So if the government wants to prioritize bringing back things alive, just like it did with the vice president's residential apartment, which was really renovated under a few months for 21 billion naira. If we are intentional about reviving things that have been redundant for years, owing to the mistakes of the previous administration, why are they not doing the same for the refineries? We've been talking about renovating, and we are still saying the same thing. We are still moving round and round the same cycle. Now, let me ask again, do you think that there will now be changes in the processing times and service quality as a result of this fee adjustment? And I also have a problem with the fact that in 2024, we are still talking about the production of the Nigerian passport being, they're giving this, what do I call it now? It's being done outside the country. Is it that we are not capable enough of creating, or we don't have factories that can actually give us this passport? To me, it's just, it's a piece. We even have some weddings who creates something that looks like the passport as an invite. Yes. So if we have wedding event planners have like a demo of the Nigerian passport, so why can't we have a federal government-owned project do the same in Nigeria? Why do we have to rely on companies abroad, creating our passport for us? To me, I think it sounds ridiculous. If this is affecting the cost because of the naira, dollar to naira, so why not bring it back home? We have people, we have hands, we have people who can actually do this in Nigeria.
Yeah, so I was going to say the exact same thing, that we would not stop having this dollar to naira problem that would result in price increment if we continue to import everything.
Mr. Ajayi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. There was a bit of a glitch, but before then, you were talking about why is it that we cannot encourage local production of the passport. Well, that is for policymakers. There's a lot of policy.
Omeza, can you hear us? All right. Unfortunately, we're battling with technical issues with Omeza this today, and I'm really glad that at least he's been able to some extent talk about it extensively, because the last point that you gave is absolutely true. If everything is heavily reliant on the dollar and then on the exchange rates, we would not stop having these problems, right? Because we would keep going over and over again with the pricing and the reason for the increment of price. If they're manufactured locally, I don't think that there is a legit enough reason that can come up that requires that the price be increased, especially now. And the timing is another problem. Like, it's like there's no deliberation, there is no and again, my challenge is that autonomy, because bringing it back again to the presidential jet, we hear that was done without the approval of the National Assembly. So again, what is with the autonomy?
I hear that Mr. Ajayi is back to give us, his last thought on the issue of the passport price increment. Mr. Ajayi, are you there? Please, in 1 minute, let's have your thoughts.
Yes, I was saying that there's a lot of politics regarding the production of the Nigerian passport. If you sat with the Minister of Interior for 30 minutes, Dr. Tunji Ojo, on this issue of passport, there are certain things you will uncover that has even led to some people trying to get him out of that office regarding the production of this same passport. Now you have the security printing and minting company, which is supposed to be printing these travel documents, these security documents for the country, but they are not doing it. And that is because there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of issues regarding the production of this passport. But the president has to sit up, has to come up with that political will to ensure that we can produce our own passport from the first stage to the last stage of the production. Until we're able to do this, the dollar-naira exchange rate will continue to affect the price of obtaining the passport, the cost of obtaining the passport, just as it is affecting the cost. Like I watched you earlier, I talked about the current fuel scarcity and the pricing template of fuel at the stations, just as it is affecting the price of fuel in the country.
All right, thank you so much, Omeza Ajayi, for joining us. Because we're pressed for time, this is the much we can take, but thank you for sharing your thoughts.